right, guys, today we're going to talk about two different artists. We're going to start with Chris Uphues. He's a street artist, which means you can find his art on the sides of buildings when you're walking around on the street. You can even find his artwork printed on things like clothing and stickers. One of his favorite things to create is hearts, and they always have a whole lot of character. The second artist we're going to look at today is Dasic Fernandez. He's from New York. He is also a street artist, and he loves to create drips of paint in his artwork, and sometimes creates imagery with his drips. Both of these artists use really bright, fun colors, so I thought it would be really fun to combine both of their art styles for our project today.
All right, guys, we've looked at our two artists that are going to inspire this project. Chris Uphues' hearts and Dasic Fernandez's paint drips. We are going to combine both of those ideas to make our super awesome project today. So we're gonna first start by drawing a huge heart on our paper. Now, I have a couple different tricks for drawing hearts. Set this off to the side for a second. To draw a heart, you can start by drawing the letter M and then putting the letter V underneath. Or you can draw the number 2 and just leave off that bottom line of that number 2. And then you just draw a backwards number 2 right next to it. So you can see I just left off those bottom lines of the number 2. That kind of helps me. So I'm gonna start with a huge heart on my paper. Now I'm starting with a Sharpie, of course, because I like for you guys to be able to see my lines really well on my video. But for you, it might be a great idea for you to start with a pencil and then go over your pencil lines with a black Sharpie or crayon or marker before you add color. So now we're gonna look at those Chris Uphues faces that he puts in his hearts. And I'm gonna put a little cute face on mine. Now you, of course, don't have to do yours the same way that I do mine. You can come up with your own cute little face. I'm adding my own cute little details that you can make your heart however you'd like. Now, once you've drawn your heart, our background behind our heart is going to be those really fun drips of paint or whatever you want to think of it as, okay? So this is a great thing that you might want to draw with a pencil first, because I like to make sure that I'm trying to make my paint drips as realistic as possible, which means they're going to change in size and kind of the thickness and thinness of the drips. So there we go. There's one little row of drippy paint. Now I can make another one down here. And since most of this line is behind the heart, I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna try to make it look like it's on the same line. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I think I'm gonna add, I don't know, maybe 2 more. Let's see. Sometimes I like to add little drips that have already dripped off, kind of hanging down below. And I think I have room for 1 more. Maybe this one's gonna kind of be going off the bottom of the paper. There we go, it's looking so cute. Now, you can use whatever you'd like to add color to these. I'm gonna use these little Mr. Sketch markers I have. Mainly just because I haven't used them in a while and I was kind of itching to use them. So I'm gonna use these. I'm gonna try to stick with just like my bright rainbow colors. I don't really wanna use my darker colors, my blacks or my browns. So first thing I wanna do is I wanna pick what color I want my heart to be. And I'm thinking maybe this little like bluish green kind of teal-y color. I'm gonna start with this and I'm gonna color my whole heart first. And I like to color things as neatly and nicely as possible. So I'm going to outline my heart and then fill in the spaces in between. You can see I'm also kind of outlining any spaces inside my heart that aren't going to be this blue color. So I'm kind of outlining my eyes and outlining my little tongue, just so when I go to fill in, I don't have to be quite so careful that I'm not accidentally going over those lines for those spots. Okay, so there's my heart all colored in. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I kind of have 5 different colors. So I'm gonna kind of pick before I start what colors I'm gonna use for my background. So just like with my heart, I'm gonna be super careful when I'm kind of outlining my space first. Okay, so now everything is colored in. I like to add a little bit of like shadows and highlights to these. So I don't really have enough or the right kind of colors to add shadows with my markers. So I think what I'm gonna do is use my crayons. So what I'm gonna do, we'll start with red. I'm gonna find like a good like dark shadow color for red. So for this, red violet would be pretty good. And basically on like the sides of each one of these drips, I'm gonna kind of like pick a side. So I think like on the left side and like bottom of each of these drips, I'm just gonna add a little shadow with this crayon. I hope that you can see. And then let's see if a white crayon will work for the highlights. I think it'll work. So then with a white crayon, you go in and add little highlights, and this really makes those drips look like they're like 3-dimensional like globs of paint. I don't know if you can kind of see those little shadows and highlights I did. I also just found this paint pen, this white paint pen. That might also work really well for highlights. I might try that on the next one. So then, for my yellow, I'm gonna do the same thing. It looks like I might have to use like, maybe almost like a light orange for my yellow shadow. Let's see. And I think I'm even gonna put like some shadows on my yellow, like behind these drips. So like the red drip is making a shadow on the yellow. See, isn't that cool? Like orange like shadow. Super cool. So I'm gonna do the same thing down here. I'm gonna try out my white paint pen and see if that, I mean, I can see my little highlights, but I want you guys to see them on the video. So I'm gonna try this paint pen, or if you just have like white tempera paint or like acrylic paint, you can add your little highlights with that. There, can you guys, yeah, there, that's showing up a little bit better on the video. Okay, so now let's get like a dark pink, and I think for my pink, like a red would actually be perfect. Okay, guys, there is my Chris Uphues and Dasic Fernandez inspired heart project. I think it's so cool. I love the combination of these two different artists and their styles into this project. I think it's so fun. You guys, of course, get to come up with your own little face for your heart. You can come up with what colors you do. I loved combining the markers with the crayons. The markers are super vibrant and like pop off the page, and then the crayons are perfect for adding these little shadows and highlights. And you can see I even used a little paint pen for my highlights, but if you don't have a paint pen, the white crayon worked awesome as well. So I cannot wait to see yours. Just make sure you're coloring super neatly and nicely, because these turn out so awesome when you take your time and really do your best job on these. All right, guys, I can't wait to see.